All right, it should be recording. So let me just share my screen. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk a little bit about making some money. What I was thinking about all this week in terms of, what would I share with you guys today? And a lot of times when we do training, we talk about certain things, myself, Mr. Landry, Mr. Doucette, just concepts and thoughts and ideas just kind of pop in our mind. And I think we're in a place right now where people just really need to make money. They need to make money. We've gotten all the I's dotted and T's crossed in terms of the company, the systems, the processes. We talk a lot about empowerment. We talk a lot about, things that will motivate people. I think the biggest piece of the puzzle that's remaining is people just have to start making money. And the one thing that I believe that's been happening while some people make money and other people don't, it's just really your action, your follow through, and then even knowing what to do, the expectations of what it means to make money. So I look back at my own career in this industry and what did I do when I got started and how did I build and what was I thinking? What were the people that was around me? What were they thinking about how to make money? And I realized that it was a process, but that process, the foundation of that process was all about taking action. So I'm going to talk to you about a little money. I'm going to talk to you about a lot of money, but the most important piece that I want you to take away from this training today is how do you think as it relates to making money? Hopefully, all of you have pen and paper. You should. It's a training. I know Linda Johnson does. Everybody, make sure you have pen and paper to make some notes so that you can um, kind of recall some of this information, even though it's going to be recorded. It's etched in your mind when you write some things out. So the first part I want to talk to you about is just how to make $500 a month. And this is a spinoff of last week's training, I think it was. How do you make $500 per month? Listen, with such a quote unquote low amount of money, $500 per month, you can actually do that outside of the compensation plan. You can do this piece by yourself. You would just need to have the wherewithal to, sorry, some people trying to get in.
We got
Uh,
you, Doc. You could keep going.
all right, thanks. It was coming up my slide. You just have to have the wherewithal to understand that in the beginning, the most that you'll ever need to do in this industry is in the very beginning, your first 6 months in the business. That's when you'll do the most work. And if you do that properly, right, then the rest of your career in this industry can be relatively smooth, but you got to do the heavy lifting in that first 6 months. And regardless of where you are today, whether you're just starting in the business or you've been in the business all 19 years, um, look at today, closing out 2023, going into 2024 as an opportunity for you to press the reset button on your business. Create the next 6 months, the beginning of 2024, as if this is the igniter for your organization. So I looked at myself in the industry and what was I thinking? What was my mindset in terms of building? What was my thought process in terms of making money? I started out, Stanley, I thought you told me y'all had me. Now I was holding on. All right. I'll wait
We
a few
did.
minutes.
It take a little time to come to your
Okay,
side.
it take too long. All right. Now, when I first started in ACN, even though they explained the big picture to me, I really just wanted to make an extra $200 a month while I was finishing up my education. That was my deal. I wanted to make $200 per month. If I could make an extra couple $100, kind of make some ends meet here and there, then I would be good because ACN wasn't my future. This is my thought process. ACN wasn't my future. It was just a means to an end until I finished my education and move into becoming a neurosurgeon. But when I start to understand the concepts of what success meant and what business meant and what the process is, this is very important, understanding the process. This is a training, by the way. Y'all don't want to be playing around, washing dishes, playing with the dog, all that stuff. You want to hear me clearly. I realized that if I built my business through processes, then once it's built, it becomes irrevocable. So what does that mean? That means you can't stop the money from coming once you put together a proper system. I've already told you that even having left ACN, what, 10 years ago, whatever it is, 2004, since being in more than 10 years. Yeah, 2004, whatever it was. Having left ACN, my old organization is still generating gross revenue. It's still generating revenue. And I left in 2004. Think about that for a second. Why is my old organization still generating revenue? Well, it's simple. It's because there were some people in my organization, just because I left, they didn't leave, they didn't quit, they're still there, they're still working. There were some people who were customers then, whether it was electricity, gas customers, long distance, or local customers, that are still customers today. Just because I left, they didn't turn off their electricity or they didn't turn off their phones. They're still there. They're still paying. Here's the crazy thing, and crazy in a good way. When we started 1Voice in 2004, and we started out with just VoIP services, I promise you on this, to this very day, we still have customers on the books that we get paid for VoIP customers. Still, that's home phone services. If you don't know what VoIP is, home phone services. I used to have a company called Vonage, that kind of thing. We still have VoIP customers. My aunt is one of them. She still is a VoIP customer. Here it is 19 years later. People don't even use VoIP anymore, by the way. That's an internet phone. People don't really use that anymore, but we have customers that they're not changing their phone. I have reps that they still in ACN. All I'm saying to you is this. If you can start now getting good at building a system and a foundation for your business, then 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you still have an opportunity to be successful with what you're doing right now. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work. What I'm seeing is a lot of people, they're not committed to doing the work. Part of the work is getting on this training. You got to get your people on the train. It's not just enough for you to get on the training. You got to get your team on the training. And I've been growing and becoming a better version of myself. I've been working on it. I've been trying to be, a little nicer. I ain't cussing as much. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to
Uh-oh.
eat better. All of this stuff. But one thing I'm not going to compromise on is people doing the work. And I'm going to start calling people out on training who not on training. I'm going to start telling you, you need to get such and such person on training. Why? Because a lot of people are under the impression that they're doing something for us. That's the impression that they give. They, like, well, they're doing this for us. That's not, if that's your thought, that's not why you should be doing the business. You should be doing the business for you and your why, right? And allow us, the system, the process, the success machine, to help you become successful. But you're not doing it for us. You can't do it for us. You got to have something that will motivate you to do it for yourselves. So for me, it's like, look, if we're going to do this and you're going to say you're going to do this, and if all of us are going to be working morning, noon, and night and beyond to make this a better way for you to build your business, then you got to do the work. It's just no question about it, right? So first thing is making this $500 per month. Everybody should be making at least $500 a month. And like I said, like you see on the screen, you don't even have to understand the compensation plan to make $500 a month. You can do this by yourself. Wonder if all you did is just personally enroll 10 reps. Just personally enroll 10 reps. Now, I'm not putting a time frame on it. I'm not saying get it in a day. I'm not saying get it in 30 days. I'm not saying get it in a year. But wonder if you just personally enrolled 10 ambassadors into your business. You enrolled 10 reps into your business. Now, wonder if those 10 reps, if each of those 10 reps just had $250 in terms of their total volume. Each one of those reps had $250. Now, I'll kind of elaborate on that in a second, but I just want you to think along with me there. So anybody, just kind of tell me, unmute yourself, type it in. If you have 10 reps that have $250 in their individual businesses, what is your total personal volume for you? What is the total PV for you? Anybody, just unmute yourself or type it in. It's not a trick question, y'all. It's 250 times 10.
2,500.
Thank you so much. It's $2,500 in total volume. 25. I'm not trying to trick anybody. The reason I'm asking these questions is to keep you engaged. That's all. To keep you engaged so that you'll know that, I'll know that you're paying attention. So you're talking about $2,500 in total volume, right? $2,500 in total volume. Can anybody tell me what is your percentage that you would earn on your personal volume? What percentage that you would earn on your personal volume?
20%.
20%. So 20% on your personal volume. So look, you earn 20% on your personal volume. So your payout is that $2,500, which is your total PV of those 10 individuals, times the 20%. That means you're making $500 a month. That part is just that simple. Now I'm going to talk about that 250 in a second, but that part is just that simple. Look, think about what you have not done. You haven't focused on the 7 ways to get paid. You haven't focused on what the compensation plan is. You hadn't focused on Crown Ambassador and Silver and any of the earned positions. You hadn't focused on understanding your back office. You hadn't focused on any of that stuff. You've only done 2 things. 1, enroll 10 people, and 2, show them how to get $250 in personal volume. Now, again, putting myself in that chair, what would be the next thing that I already know how people think? Well, I can't get somebody to pay $29.99. How am I going to get them to get $250? It is really simple if you shift your mindset. That first question that somebody's going to ask, and remember, you're earning $500 per month now. But that first question that somebody is going to ask is, what is the best way to help my 10 people get $250 in volume? Here's my answer. And if I'm in the field, this is exactly what I'm doing. You teach each of them just how to get 5 Healthcare Plus products. Just 5 Healthcare Plus products. I put the website there so you could go study the Healthcare Plus website and all that it entails. It is very robust. It is a brilliant product, and it is one of the few products that is 100% commissionable. So 5 people. Now, again, we're talking about your thought process right now. If you feel that over a period of time that you can't find somebody that could get 5 Healthcare Plus products, or even you getting 5 Healthcare Plus products, then you're going to have to elevate your mindset and how you build your business, because quite frankly, that's very, very easy to do. I could see if the product was not necessary. I could see if the product was a luxury. I could see if, the product didn't do what it said it would do. I could even see if there wasn't a value for this product. But we're talking about a product that you can put 10 dependents on. You're talking about a product that can help you save on medical services, dental services, prescription services, lab services, chiropractic services, flights, hotels, rental cars, all the 50 plus benefits, they're on the website. So take a look at it. You mean to tell me you can't find 5 people, customers, or you can't teach your team to find 5 customers that can't benefit from this product? I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can't do that. And so if I don't believe that you can't do that, My only recourse is to believe that you're not doing it. You're not doing it. We did not settle for less when I was building my ACN business. My upline, they didn't settle for less. We have people who wonder if they can get one person in the business when I promise you, every Tuesday night, our organization, we had a office in Atlanta up Cobb Parkway. Every Tuesday night, we had a presentation. Okay. And at the end of that presentation, every Tuesday night, we would collect, there was no website and all this fancy stuff we got today. We had rep agreement forms. So everybody had to fill out a rep agreement form. They filled that out every Tuesday night. Now, y'all know the FedEx envelopes, the UPS envelopes, the little flat envelopes. Every Tuesday night, we would take those rep agreement forms and we would put them in a FedEx or UPS envelope. True story. We had to stuff the envelope and tape it so that it wouldn't burst open because we had that many people that would come in every Tuesday night, and they would pay $500 to get involved in the business every Tuesday night. And I remember because I would drop those things. We were at an office complex off of Phoenix Boulevard at one time, but it's Cobb Parkway. Anyway, I was the one that dropped these envelopes into the little FedEx box that was on the property, or the UPS box that was on the property. I did that. These envelopes were stuffed with rep agreement forms that the reps paid $499 for. Now you have an opportunity where you got all of this stuff that we have. Maybe the problem, maybe too much stuff. All of these products and services that we have, and all of the technology. Again, there was no Zoom when we built our business. There wasn't no PowerPoints, and there wasn't no all of this stuff that we have today. We had a whiteboard and 3 markers. They'll tell you, anybody that was around, they'll tell you. And people paid $500. My message to them, my team then, is the same message that I shared today. It's the same message. So what is the difference between somebody putting in X number of reps every single week at $500 versus someone trying to put in a rep a week or a month or even a year for a lot of people at $99? What is the difference? It's the mindset and the commitment to your business. That's the difference. That's the only conclusion that I can come up with. We really put ourselves and our futures ahead of anything else, right? So we got so many things now that's going on. People spending hours upon hours every single day on social media. Not the business part of social media, the I'm being entertained part of social media, right? We spend so much time in everybody else's business that we don't have time for our own stuff. Moving forward in 2024, we got to get very, very good at understanding the value of ourselves, our business, our families, and our why. So when I look at this, just making $500 a week, a month, you can't blame it on anybody else, because this particular part of it is just on you. Getting 10 people and teaching those people how to get $250. And I just gave you the easiest way to do that. Now, I want you to make sure you don't miss that word teaching that I said, because here's another place that I think that we're dropping the ball a bit. And I know I'm spending some time on this, but the technical part of this is more important than the slides. You got to teach your organization this stuff that we're talking about. First of all, they should be on training, like I said. But then you have to teach them the value of duplicating this process. This is how you're going to get wealthy. You teach them the process of duplication. You got to talk to them. You got to meet with them. You got to teach them. I was so encouraged last week to hear Clayton say he had a training with his team that, none of us had anything to do with it. None of us had anything to do with it. They just said, you know what, we need to do a training. They got together, they started doing training, and that's what it takes to be successful. Now, the next step in that training is to make sure that you're teaching the value of what I'm talking about today. And then the other part of it is teaching the people that you're training that they need to be on this training. They need to be on this training. I can see if one person, okay, you got to work, one person, you doing whatever. But if your entire organization is not on training, then that's a failure of leadership, right? And y'all don't have to tell them this. Just have them go back and watch this video. I'm telling you, if you're not getting your teams, that's everybody. If you're not getting your teams on training, that's not so much the team's fault. It's a failure of leadership. You have to expect more from your team. Why is it that we always have these same people on training? You know why? Because first of all, their mindset, and I'm not, this is not anything negative. I just want you to understand how people think. First of all, is how those individuals think, but it's also the leadership of the people who are on here today. It is expected of them to be on training, and so those expectations carry weight. You got to expect certain things from your team. All right. So that's how you make $500 a month. No big deal. It's everybody can do it. That's an extra $6,000 a year on top of what you're already making. Not a lot of money, but you didn't do a whole lot. And remember, we're not talking about, you got to get 10 people today. Just whenever you get those 10 people in, teach those people to get $250 in volume. One other thing about this volume, we talk a lot about the Healthcare Plus and the Allstate Identity Protection, not only because they're 100% commissionable, but remember, the challenge that a lot of people are having is keeping and maintaining that 125, the qualification volume every single month, because they're getting to 125 on products that either they may not consume or products that obviously are not auto ship. For example, and I'm just throwing this out for an example. If you get your $125 in PV, your monthly qualification PV on a pair of shoes, or a couple of pair of shoes, right, for December, you're qualified, great, and that's to be applauded. But guess what has to happen in January? You got to get some more shoes or dresses or something to get to 125 again. Guess what has to happen in February? You got to get some more shoes or dresses or socks or something in February to get to the 125. People get frustrated because they got to do the work over and over and over, and then they stop getting qualified. If they stop getting qualified, here's what else happens. They don't make demands on their team. You know why they don't make demands on their team? Because they're not doing it. And they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want the team to say, well, you're not doing this, so why should I? Mr. Landry, Mr. Doucette can tell you this. Ms. Mercadale can tell you this. Carol, Carmela, they can tell you this. This is how I operated. For years, they would ask me, why don't we do more in terms of social media? Why don't we do more in terms of just some mainstream stuff and getting out there and all these other kind of things? And I always said, I'm never going to expose the company to anything mainstream until we got all I's dotted and all T's crossed. I'm not going to expect something from somebody else or put something out there that we're not prepared to put out there at the best possible in the best possible light. So I didn't want to be on social media when this wasn't in place or that wasn't in place or this was out of order or that was out of order. I didn't want to do that. Why? Because I didn't want to feel hypocritical telling people to do something or come somewhere when all of the things that needed to be in place wasn't in place. But for the last few years, we've been not only out there in social media, in terms of One Voice Worldwide, but all of our brands, and not just through the direct sales part, but we're out there mainstream. We're the ladies of the buzz, and we're putting out social media campaigns with the coffee and with Farrah and TikTok and all these other things that has nothing to do with One Voice. Why? Because we're in order. We're in order. We're building a global business with One Voice and without One Voice. Why? Because we're in order. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because in order for you to get your teams on training, in order for you to make demands and not literal demands, but expectation demands for people to do what they need to do, that means you got to do it first. You got to lead by example. So make sure you're doing that, and I promise you, your team will follow. So what would be the next logical thing after you've done the $500 a month? The next thing is to make $1,000 per month. Now imagine, think about this. You only have, of those 10 people you brought in, if only two of those 10 people, which that's your level one, if only two of those people, not all of them, just two of those people did the same thing. Remember, you had 10 reps on that first level. If only two of those reps did the same thing, you're already making $500 on your first level. But if two of them duplicated the same thing, remember, we just talked about each one of those people, whether it was you, your 10 people, they got $250 in volume each. You multiply that times 10, that's $2,500. If only two people did that, what's your percentage of pay on level two? Somebody tell me. Percentage of pay on level two.
30%.
Not total, but just on level two alone.
10%.
10%. 10% on level two alone. The 30% you're talking about, Keith, is levels 1 and 2. 20% on level 1, 10% on level 2. That's where you're getting that 30 from. But just on level 2, you're getting 10%. So remember, you got $5,000 in total volume, right? From those two people. The two people out of your 10, they each have $2,500 in personal volume. That's $5,000 on level 2. Because you're getting 10% on level 2, $5,000 times the 10%, that's $500. So now you look at it, you're making $500 on level 1. You've already done that, and you're making $500 on level 2. That's $1,000. And you're doing that, you're silver ambassador. You're silver ambassador, by the way, right? Now you've added another $12,000 a year on top of whatever you're doing with your job or career, or whatever. Making $12,000 a year. You're silver ambassador. You hadn't done anything extraordinary yet. You've just showed 10 people how to get $250 in volume. And again, I keep talking about this volume because I'm seeing what's happening in the field. Don't let your minimums be your maximums. I hear so many people so many times say that, I'm trying to get everybody to 125. I'm trying to get everybody to 125. And that's great. And that's admirable. You should do that. But if you elevate their levels of expectation, then 125 will be an afterthought. They'll always have that 125. Now, I'm going to talk about 125 for the compensation purposes, but I want you to start to think outside of the box. People ask me all the time. I know they asked Mr. Landrum about doing promotions and discounts, and a lot of people got a lot of stuff during the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday sales, and all of these discounts, that just means less money. That just means less money you make. People would ask me all the time, well, could we take the PV from 125 to 100 to $50 can we lower the PV? Why would you want to lower the PV? You make less money. If you take the PV from $125 to $75, then you're going to make half the amount of money you would make, no matter what the scenario is in your organization. You should want to double it to 250, right? If the PV was legit 250, your qualifications, then whatever amount of money you're making today or would be making, it doubles. So you would want higher PV, personal volume. But why don't people want higher personal volume? Because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to teach people how to get 5 healthcare customers or teach them how to get auto ship products that total $250 or $125 or whatever your goals are. You could go to a flea market. Yeah, I said this last week or the week before, maybe. You go to a flea market and there are people at flea market that sell coffee. You could put your bags of coffee. You could sell bags of coffee. You can even buy bulk coffee from 1Voice and have this at a flea market or a little grocery store or something to that effect, and have $250 in just coffee every single month. There are so many ways that you could do this. You just got to think through it and do the work. Okay, but with this thought, $1,000 a month, just means you got 10 people. Everybody got $250 in personal volume sales. I see a question, so I'll answer that in a second. And you duplicate that with just not 10 people, but just 2 out of the 10 people you brought into the business. The hardest part of your business is done. That first 6 months, and you however long it take you to get those people, that is done. Okay, that is done. But you got to think of it that way. Don't teach your people just to get $125 in volume. Teach them how to build. You're talking about building a company now. This stuff becomes irrevocable. You know, these people, we have the highest, and again, Mr. Landry can tell you this because of operations. We have the highest retention rate on the healthcare plus product than any other product in the history of the company. The highest retention rate. That means the most people, when they get on this healthcare plus product, more people stay on this product than any other product we have. Why is that the case? Because if they use it, they see an incredible value with that product. So if you have that kind of retention, again, I'm going back to my ACN days. You know why we didn't worry about people, switching off or us losing the money, or you know why a lot of people are still on these services, is because when we built on long distance, y'all want to hear this. When we built on long distance services with ACN in the very beginning, they don't have long distance now, but I'm making a point. When we built on long distance in the very beginning, when we got a customer on our long distance product, we didn't have to worry about our money going because people didn't cut off their phone. Think about that. People didn't turn their phones off. People did not turn their phones off. So if they see a value in their product and they use their product, then your income will have a small or high retention rate, I should say, and a small attrition rate. That just means more people will stay on the service. People that are loving our coffee, and we're starting to see this, people that love the coffee, they keep buying the coffee every single month. They're buying the coffee. People who love the immune defense, I every now and then I look at some of the help tickets and some of the stuff. I don't get into that a lot because Mr. Landrum, Mr. Doucette cover all of those things. But every now and then I'll peep into just to kind of see what's going on. And when I see somebody say, like, I'm not going to say a name, but one of our reps was like, look, y'all, this immune defense need to come on. I need this immune defense, right? I need this immune defense. On the one hand, I want to find out, okay, what was taking so long? I found out why, okay, what was taking so long? No big deal. It was resolved. But here's the bigger point for me that made me smile. It was like this person, like, where is my immune defense? Because they use the immune defense. They use it every month. Right? If you can build your customer base, remember, you're talking about building a business. If you can build your customer base to loyal customers that consume the products, you don't ever have to worry about your money going down. That's why that first 6 months are important. You've gotten the foundation laid, and everything you're doing beyond that is just adding onto this money. This $1,000 right here, you got to this $1,000, whether it took you 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, but you're at this $1,000. But guess what? It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Y'all heard me say it before how in ACN I skipped the teams. 1 month my residual check, my commission check was $12,000. The next month it was $20,000. I mean, we skipped the teams, 13, 14, 15,000. We skipped that. Why? Because you built on what you already have. And keep in mind that with this $1,000 a month that you're already making, I ain't even counting your bonuses, fast start bonuses, loyalty reward. We're not counting any of that. This is just strictly on team commission. If you can get this and understand this, you can understand the simplicity of it. It's all a mindset thing. When totally you've just gotten yourself with 10 reps and 2 people to do the same thing, you had 1,000 plus per month, 12,000 a year, and you hadn't done that. That's it. You hadn't done anything. You're silver ambassador. You hadn't done anything beyond that. I hope that part makes sense. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Before I move to the next slide, any questions on that? Because I want to make sure you got this part. If you got this, you got the business. Any questions on this part? Unmute yourself. What did Mr. Doucette go? Okay, unmute yourself. if you have any questions. All right. We're logging in someone, Rashida Muhammad. Okay, so now let's talk about the big picture. Let's talk about the big picture. Again, I want you to understand that, and then I'm gonna close out. I'm going over my time. I want you to understand that $500 per month and that $1,000 per month, it is just the foundation for making, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, so forth and so forth. Okay. All you're going to do is keep duplicating the same thing. I do want you to hear this part though. Don't think about the depth of what you have to build. Think about what you have to build in your first 6 months and how you're going to teach and duplicate that, because you cannot bring in 100 people legitimately by yourself, and service those people, or 1,000 people, or 5,000 people. You cannot do that. I shared with you all the success that I had in ACN. I had over 50,000 reps. I had over 150,000 customers, right? Built 37 people to the top position in the company. But guess what? I only brought into ACN, Sam Orem, 29 people in 10 years. That's all, 29 people in 10 years. That's averaging just about 3 people per year that I brought into business. Here's the difference between me bringing in 29 people and some of y'all already done brought in 29 people. Here's the difference. Because I was not, and I'm still not great at presenting, or I wasn't great at doing this, or certainly wasn't great at recruiting. That's never been my thing, because I just don't talk to people like that, right? Because I wasn't great at those things, I had to find out what I was great at. And what I was great at is taking one of these 29 people, or 2 or 5 or 10 of these 29 people, and teaching them my system of duplication. I taught them everything that I know about business. I would teach those individuals. So what happens when you teach people who have skills that you don't? What happens when you teach a Stanley Doucette a system, and Stanley Doucette can legitimately recruit where I can't, right? Then he feels my lack through production. What happens if I teach someone everything that I know, because I become a student of the industry and I teach systems that are duplicatable? What happens when I teach that to people who are better than I am? What happens when you teach this to people who are better than you? Your organization is going to absolutely explode. But here's the problem. You're not teaching it. I'm going to give y'all a secret. I'm going to tell a secret. Mr. Landon and Mr. Doucette are going to get upset with me about it. But I'm going to tell y'all a secret that we talk about. Here's a secret.
Here we go.
Yeah, sometimes this is just an unleashed part. Sometimes in our private conversations, just the 3 of us now, we don't take it outside of that, because but we'll say, who they think they fooling? We know they ain't doing nothing. We know they just talking a good game. They get on the trainings, they'll get on the presentations, but that's it. They ain't gonna say nothing, do nothing else, period. That's it. The next time they do something about their business, it's gonna be getting on the presentation or getting on the training. From Saturday to Saturday, they ain't doing nothing. And we know it. And so we laugh about it, and then we pray about it. Then we pray about it. Lord, help them. Success leaves clues, guys. Success leaves clues, but so does failure, right? You got to do the work. It's because it's not for us. It's for you. We're just here to help and support your vision through the success machine, right? You got to do the work. So what should your future look like if you got those 2 things that I just shared? How to make $500, how to make $1,000. Most importantly, how to duplicate, teach, and train and raise the level of expectations of your team. Here's what your future should look like. First of all, I want you to jot this down. Now we're talking about how to get to a millionaire status. This is, again, I pulled this out of my own ACN notes. This ain't no speculation. This ain't no Google. One thing that I can tell you, being the founder of a company, I cannot say anything on these calls, especially when it's recorded, unless not only the company has done it, I would have had to have done it in order to legally say it on these companies, because it would be illegal. It's something called enticement. There's something in the industry that's called enticement. Enticement is when someone in particular, the founder of a company, says or shares or give levels of expectations on a call based on money or finances or production, and either the company hadn't done it, and in particular the person hadn't done it. That's illegal, and it's called enticement. Well, let me tell you what I'm about to share with you. I'm recording it, and I can sit in front of any of the 50 attorneys general anywhere in the country. You know why? Because I did it. I pulled this right out of my notes. So I want you to write this down. You want to write these numbers down: 20, 10, 10, 2, 1. Just write those numbers down: 20, 10, 10, 2, 1. You already should have had pen and paper, so it shouldn't take that long. 20, 10, 10, 2, and 1. And now, when I say I've done this, I'm putting this in the term, in the vernacular, in the mindset of 1Voice, the 1Voice compensation plan now, 1Voice opportunity. Okay, same thing, same concept, but I'm relating it to 1Voice. So when we're talking about that road to millionaire, the first thing you want to look at is focus on getting to Crown Ambassador. You want to focus on getting to Crown Ambassador. Crown Ambassador with 1Voice is the easiest top position in the industry of network marketing. I'm just telling you. Crown Ambassador with 1Voice is the easiest top position in any other company in network marketing. We've had people who left 1Voice and went to other companies because they thought the grass was greener on the other side. And then they would come and, tell me, man, we wish we had stayed. I'm like, well, why don't you come back? Because they're embarrassed now because they left because they thought the grass was greener. This is the easiest compensation plan of any other companies in terms of getting to the top position. How are you going to become a millionaire doing this? This is a totally different kind of mindset, though. The first thing you want to do is you got to now personally enroll 20 people. Remember, you already got 10 just by making your $500. Personally enroll 20 people. That means you got 20 people on your first level. The next thing is wonder if each one of those 20 reps that you have just enrolled 10. So they didn't do as well as you did. They didn't enroll 20. They just enrolled 10 people. Y'all follow me on that? Your 20 people just enrolled 10 people. You enrolled 20, but they didn't even get the Crown Ambassador. They just enrolled 10. By them just enrolling 10 people, that means on your level 2, you got 200 people on your level 2 because your 20 people just enrolled 10. I hope you can understand that math. Mind you, as a Crown Ambassador, well, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but let me kind of keep you focused. You got 20 people. Of those 20 people, that's your level 1. Those 20 people just got 10 each on average. Now, I'm not giving perfect scenarios because when I'm saying you got 20 people and they got 10, you may have 100 people, nothing to do with you, but you may have 100 people on your second level just built organically. But of those 100 people, as long as 20 got 10, it fulfills this scenario that I'm talking about. I don't want to get too complicated, so just follow me with that. If those 20 people that's on your second level who got 10 reps, that means that's now 200 reps on level 2. If those 200 reps just got 10, not 20, just got 10, now you got 2,000 reps on level 3. Now, when it starts to get beyond level 3, you start to lose a bit of control. When I say you lose a bit of control, you typically not teaching and what's the word I'm looking for? Intimately working with people on level 4, 5, 6, and beyond, because they should have uplines and leaders that are working with them. So you may not directly be working with them. So you can't really say that everybody's going to do what they need to do. So when I built my business, I accounted for attrition. So you got these 200 reps on level 3. If those 200 reps, they didn't get 20, they didn't get 10, they just got 2 reps apiece, just 2 reps. That's all they did. They just got 2 reps. That means on level 4, now you have 4,000 people. Now, some of you are already starting to think 4,000 people, this is crazy. I'm not going to have 4,000 people. No, you're not going to have 4,000 people. You're just going to have 20. You're just going to have 20 and teach. Listen to this, and as Mr. Landrum say on his Sunday service every week, hear me clearly. Hear me clearly. You can become a millionaire in this business by never going wider than 20 people if you have those 20 people and you take the initiative to teach. Take the initiative to teach. Don't worry about 4,000 people. Don't worry about the 50,000 people that's going to be in your organization. Remember, I only brought in 29 people that built that 50,000. All you have to do is focus on 20 people, but teaching and duplicating your system. Some people will say, well, I can't build an organization that big. You're right, you can. It's not designed for you to build it that big. It's designed for you to get to 20 people, get the Crown Ambassador. That's what it's designed for you to do. And you're going to have some help, because in order for you to get the Crown Ambassador, one of your 20 people would have had to be Royal Ambassador. And guess what? They ain't working for you. They're working for themselves. So what does that mean? That means they're on their road to becoming a millionaire, right? And if they're on their road to becoming a millionaire, you're making a ton of money from their leg, their organization, that is not even accounted for in what I'm sharing with you today. I'm just talking about you and your lineage. But if you brought in one of your 20 people, if one of your 20 people was a Christine Jackson, right? That's one of your 20 people, right? And in order for you to get to Crown Ambassador, then one of your people would have had to be Royal Ambassador. So Christine Jackson is a Royal Ambassador, but guess what? She's on her way to Crown. She ain't paying you no attention. She's going to get the Crown Ambassador, and she's going to go to her own road to millionaire, her own path, but she's a party organization. You're going to get all of her volume in addition to what you're building. This is how you become massively wealthy. A.L. Williams, I think it's called Primerica now. With their compensation plan, they have something called a breakaway leg. And what that means is what I just explained. If Christine Jackson if this scenario took place, you're a Crown Ambassador, and then Christine Jackson is one of your legs, and she became Crown Ambassador. Under Primerica, that would break that leg off, and it would no longer be under you. That's the way their model is. That's the way their model is. Well, we don't do that. We don't do that. We actually keep those legs in your organization. You're going to make a heck of a lot more money. So let's just continue with this. So the next thing is, now each of those 4,000 people that's on level 4, if they just got one, now we're talking about people. Someone said Mary Kay has breakaway legs as well. Yeah, absolutely. We're not even doing that. We have every right legally to do it, and we'll make a ton more money as a company. But I wanted to keep this stuff under you so you can continue to benefit from every one of your Crown Ambassadors, because you're going to make a ton more money. And this millionaire road is just for you and your organization. So now on level 4, you got 4,000 people. They just got one rep, guys. Just think about this. They just got one rep each on average now, on average. So remember, if you're not thinking perfect theoreticals, let's just say of those 4,000 people, you're going to have a bunch of people that don't have any reps, don't have any reps. But you also have a bunch of people that's going to have 20, 30, 40, 50 reps. What I'm saying is, if on average, those 4,000 people only had one rep each. So let's look at that. There's the numbers you wrote down: 20, 10, 10, 2, and 1. You personally enrolled 20 people. That's it. That means you got 20 people on your first level. Those 20 people, they enrolled 10 people each. Not 20, but 10. That means you got 200 on level 2. Those 200 that on level 2, they enrolled just 10 each. That means you got 2,000 on level 3. Y'all can play with these numbers later. So that means you got 2,000 reps on level 3. Of those 2,000 reps, they just got 2 reps each on average. That's 4,000 on level 4. And those 4,000 on level 4, they just got 1 rep each on average. That's 4,000 on level 5. So what happens with that? If everybody now just average your 125 in minimum PV, I ain't even talking about the 250. The numbers will just scare you away. I'm just talking about everybody maintaining. Remember, we're talking about maintaining on average because everybody's not going to do this. But if everybody on average maintain their $125 in PV, and let me just be clear on this. If John Doe had $250 in PV and Jane Doe had 0, then your average is still 125. Okay. So when I say the 125, I'm assuming a bunch of people are not going to do anything. They're going to get 0. But I'm also assuming some people are going to get more than 125. But if this is the average, so if you personally maintain your 125 and your organization maintains their 125, guys, you're earning $153,000 a month. $153,000 a month. That's $186,000 per year. I'm sorry, $1.8 million per year. $1.8 million per year. Here's the thing. I told you I couldn't say it if it wasn't true. It's called enticement against the law. When I did this system similarly in ACN, this number for me was over $300,000 a month. This number for my sponsor Montreal was over $700,000 a month. So do I believe? Do I know? Do I have facts that this number is possible? Absolutely, it's possible. This is just for the people though that understand. In order to do this, you got to get to $500 a month. You got to get to $1,000 a month, and you got to teach and duplicate a system. You got to raise the expectations of your team to get on training to do the things you need to do. Some people, and guys, this can be done. And I'm not saying you're going to do this year, but wonder if it took you 4 years, just hypothetically, 4 years to get this done. How many people do you know that go to college for 4 years, and when they graduate, they're making $50,000 a year or $100,000 a year after going to college for 4 years? When you can do this, if it took you 4 years, and it's exponentially easier, because remember, you're just getting 20 people and duplicating. It's exponentially easier than going to college. I can tell you this. There's another fact. It was easier for me to get my pen as a regional vice president, the top position in ACN. It was easier for me to do that than it was to get a medical degree. And guess what? That $300,000 I told you that at the height of my ACN career that I was doing per month in ACN, guess what my salary at that time would have been for a neurosurgeon? $350,000 a year. A year. So you think about this. You and all y'all big shots that's on this call that think you got it going on. Let me kind of explain something to you. Why people will still ask me, fool, why would you leave the medical profession? It's because of this road to millionaire. It was exponentially easier for me to get 29 people and teach them how to become successful and get that RVP pin that represented $300,000 a month in income. That was exponentially easier than me getting a medical degree and then talking about making $350,000 a year and cutting up and sewing up foods every single day. It was much easier. So we got to start to think in that regard. So many of us think, oh, we got it going on. We got a big house. We got a good car. We got this. You ain't got nothing going on until you doing this. By the way, this money would come in whether you sleep or whether you're awake. It comes while you sleep. It comes while you sleep. Whew, get myself all fired up. $153,000 per month. Yes, it's absolutely a reality. But don't focus on the thousands of people. Focus on the 20 and focus on duplicating. Now you're a millionaire. You're earning over $1.8 million per year. Now, let me just go through this again and then we'll close out, just so the people who are new can see the numbers. So we're talking about everybody averaging the 125. That's a part of our compensation plan. As again, you got your 20 people, they got their 125. We already know, we've established you're gonna make $500 a month. We've also established that if those 20 people, I'm sorry, just get 10. Remember the number 20, 10, 10, 2, and 1. If those 20 people just get 10, you have 200 people on your second level, everybody getting 125. You got 10% on your second level. That's $2,500 you're making. By the way, if you stop there, guys, somebody say, well, how do I make 3,000? You just stop there. There's your $3,000 right there. But let's just keep going. Those people, those 200 get 10. We talked about this. You got 2,000 on this level. You're making $25,000 on this level. The 4,000 people, these 2,000 got 2 each. That's 4,000 on this level. You multiply that times your 125, you get 10% on this level. You're making 50 grand. This is what you're making. These numbers in green is actually what you're making on this level. And then if these 4,000 just got one person each, everybody got the 125 on average, you get 15% on your fifth level. Now you're making $75,000 just on your fifth level. You add all of these numbers up. Everybody averaging 125. That's where you get $153,000 per month, 1.8 million per year. Now, for legal purposes, again, I do have a theoretical example on here because everybody's not going to do that. We already know everybody's not going to do this, but everybody has an opportunity to do it. And because I've done it, then I know it to be true. I know it to be factual. I know it to be very, very possible. But here's what I also know. In order to get into this millionaires club, it starts by you getting $500 a month and teaching and duplicating your system. Steve Harvey, I heard him say this. Believe it or not, I was putting these slides together this morning. And I was listening to Steve Harvey Saturday, and he said this just this morning. Ain't no winning in thinking small. And I was typing this particular slide and I'm listening to Steve Harvey this morning and he said, ain't no winning and thinking small. I'm like, you know what? That is so true. Let me put this on this slide this morning. Put that on this slide this morning. But where does it start with us? It starts with everybody making $500 per month. And you got to teach your team in order for you to not be stressed out. In order for you to not kind of quit, you haven't really quit, but you kind of quit because you think you can't get people or you haven't gotten people. I fail to believe that anybody can think that they can't find 20 people on God's green earth that are serious about life. You can't tell me you can't find 20 people on the entire planet that overworked, underpaid, and looking for an opportunity. We just got to do the work. We got to do it. And the beauty of it, you only got to do it one time. Once you do it, if you teach it and duplicate it, like I said with ACN, you can't stop it. You cannot stop it. Christine Jackson ain't going to quit because you quit. She ain't going to quit because I quit. She's making her money. She's building her empire. You're making your money. You're building your empire. You can't stop it. It starts with this $500 though. So set your plans today. Go back and look at this video to be posted in your back office. Get your team to look at this video. Everybody get in the mindset of winning. Ain't no winning in small thinking. He even elaborated on how, certain people will tell you, well, I don't know if I even want to do that because it's so much work. We've talked about people in terms of opening in their offices. We call these oil wells in certain places. And people will say, well, I don't know, I have to commit to doing this or I have to commit to doing that or doing Zooms. I have to commit. Well, we got to commit. We have to commit. We got to be on every meeting. We got to be on everything because we want it and we want it for everybody. Of course, you got to commit. Of course, you got to commit to your life. Of course, it's going to cause you to stretch. Of course, it's going to cause you to work. But that's what life is. You're giving your gift back to God. He gave you life. That's what it's all about. All right. So with that, that's all I had to say. My training went over as usual.
Stop the recording.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. All right, let's see.